Once again, if you look down the channel, you'll shortly see two teams of Special Operations snipers from Jordan, Canada, and the United States aboard two MH-6 Little Bird helicopters. The helicopters will establish a sniper position overlooking the Emily village. These expert marksmen carry high-powered rifles capable of hitting targets more than a mile away. As you see the birds, you will notice that these individuals are seated on external seats or benches as the aircraft approaches the drop-off point. The MH-6 Little Bird helicopter is an extremely maneuverable aircraft capable of infiltrating personnel into very tight spaces such as rooftops, small jungle openings, and tight inner-city roadways. Moments from now, you will see an MH-60 Black Hawk helicopter with special operators from Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Norway, and the United States who will conduct a Helicast insertion into the channel using combat rubber raiding craft. This method of insertion can be conducted in the ocean miles offshore or deep inland in large rivers or lakes. This is used to stealthily approach enemy positions. And in this maneuver, a combat raiding craft with the motor strapped into the boat itself, then strapped to the bottom of the helicopter, will be released by a complex system of tie-downs. The operators will drop the boat, jump into the water, swim to the boat, and then mount the engine and hook up the gas line. This is a very difficult task to execute, considering the operators have to lift the heavy motor into place while wearing all their gear. These personnel are excellent swimmers and go through rigorous training to master this complex task. The helicopters you see today are flown exclusively by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. These crews go through an extremely demanding selection, assessment, and training process and are undoubtedly the best pilots in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, you will shortly see another Black Hawk helicopter approaching the channel, carrying special operators from Jordan, Peru, Poland, Thailand, and the United States. They will execute a fast rope infiltration to eliminate enemy sentries located on the mark. They fly at a cruising speed of 138 miles per hour, just a few feet off the ground, at night and in bad weather. The Black Hawk helicopter has a crew of 4 and can hold up to 10 passengers, depending on the internal load configuration. It is armed with 2 7.62 miniguns, which can inflict devastating fire on any positions, and each gun can carry up to 6,000 rounds per minute. Highly trained demolition experts. They are trained in a variety of conventional explosives such as dynamite and C4 plastic explosives. Used to conduct AC sabotage operations. In this scenario, a demolitions expert known as a breacher will place a simulated C4 explosive charge on the door to gain entry into the cabin. While inside, the force will discover a weapons and ammunition cache. Much like a real mission, because of limited time and no means to remove the items, the team will place C4 explosives on the cache using time-delayed fuse. The explosive charge is calculated to detonate after the element leaves the barge. Ladies and gentlemen, shortly you will see two MH-6 Little Bird helicopters return to pick up the snipers who were dropped off earlier at the hospital. After retrieving the personnel, the aircraft will conduct an armed reconnaissance overhead, remaining over the channel while the tactical elements attack their targets. These highly maneuverable aircraft provide an excellent means to detect enemy personnel gathering for a counterattack. The snipers on board will need extensive training to accurately shoot from the moving aircraft. I'd now like to direct your attention to the buildings next to the convention center ground. The SEALs who remain underwater since infiltration are now engaging in You'll notice that the individuals are utilizing the LAR-5 Draeger rebreather. This is a closed-circuit scuba device which runs on 100% oxygen. All expelled breath is recycled into the closed circuit when it is filtered for carbon dioxide. The result is a complete elimination of bubbles, which makes the Draeger ideal for clandestine amphibious operations. Insertion and extraction, coastal resupply, and coastal surveillance missions. These rugged, versatile craft have a range of 200 nautical miles when traveling at 32 knots with a top speed of 45 knots. Wait just a minute. If you look towards Bayshore Boulevard near the pirate ship, you'll see an enemy vessel is approaching from the north end of the harbor. It's intent on engaging the ribs. As the ground force eliminates the enemy resistance, pull forward and aft to find excellent firepower to repel enemy counterattack. The ground assault force has effectively eliminated the enemy resistance and is now departing the area, heading back across the bridge. Sir. The ground force effectively eliminated the enemy resistance at the checkpoint and is now departing the area, heading back across the bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, you will now see the Black Hawk helicopter returning to pick up the assault force from the barge. They will use the special patrol, insertion, and extraction system to depart the area. This system is used for extracting personnel from areas where helicopters cannot land, such as this jungle, aboard a vessel, or from the top of a building in an urban area. During this extraction method, ropes are attached to the helicopter and dropped down to the personnel on the barge. A series of rings in the rope allow the operators on the ground, all wearing special harnesses, to clip onto the rope. Up to 8 fully laden troops can be lifted off the ground and carried away using this technique. As the personnel are hooking up to the rope, an extensive buddy system check is going on to make sure that everybody is hooked with a primary and a secondary point of attachment. Then hand and arm signal are given to the helicopter, along with radio, to ensure that they're ready to lift. Helicopter pulls the slack out of the rope, the assaulters will meet in the middle and then be lifted into the air. As the helicopter flies away from the barge, you will hear an explosion. The explosion simulates the team destroying the enemy weapons cache with a C4 explosive charge. You now saw the combat rubber raiding craft return to the channel and drop off the Helicast personnel into the water, where they will form a line and wait for the arrival of a Black Hawk helicopter. The Black Hawk crew will drop a caving ladder into the water, and operators will climb the ladder and enter the aircraft. The helicopter will typically hover about 10 feet above the water while the personnel climb the ladder. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an easy task. Just imagine doing this at night in freezing cold water, in a pitching sea, weighed down by lots of gear, with the helicopter rotor wash constantly beating down on you. Once all the Helicast personnel are inside, the ladder is brought back into the aircraft, and the aircraft will now take them to safety. Let's get these pilots a hand, shall we? If you look over the Marriott, way overhead, you'll see a military MC-130 aircraft preparing to drop free-fall parachutists. This six-man team consists of jumpers from France, Germany, the Netherlands, Poland, and the United States. They will exit the MC-130 Hercules aircraft from 8,000 feet and deploy their parachutes at 3,500 feet. They will assemble in the air and then land together in the water to your front. Their descent under canopy today will be hampered by the heat being reflected off the buildings in this urban environment. This thermal effect may keep the jumpers in the air for up to 4 to 6 minutes. You get 6? Considered to be one of the military's most demanding and potentially hazardous advanced skills, military free-fall parachute operations are used to infiltrate enemy areas under cover of darkness to avoid detection. Special operations military free-fall personnel are taught to conduct high-altitude, low-opening missions by exiting an aircraft at altitudes up to 30,000 feet. Typically, the parachute is free-fall to about 4,000 feet, often reaching speeds up to 120 miles per hour before deploying their chutes. A similar activity known as high-altitude, high-opening parachute mission, in which parachutists exit at high altitudes and deploy their canopies using highly maneuverable gliding parachute systems to silently travel distances of more than 50 kilometers while under canopy. These highly trained individuals conduct military free-fall operations in the dead of night while fully loaded with up to 100 pounds of combat equipment and wearing a special helmet, goggles, and oxygen mask. The parachute used in today's exercise is the Advanced Ramp Air Parachute, or ARAP. The ARAP parachute canopy is actually an airfoil designed similar to an aircraft's wing. It has a curved upper surface and a flat lower surface with wind cells that provide the lift required to support the weight of the parachutist, his equipment, and then deliver them safely to the ground. These highly trained operators make this look easy. In actuality, a crew of dedicated professionals must work in concert to make this drop a success. First, the pilot of the aircraft must deliver the jumpers over their target area. Then the jump master in the aircraft must pinpoint the drop zone, often at night, from an altitude where only high-level topography is visible. Then the jumpers must exit the aircraft at a precise moment calculated to accommodate the speed of the aircraft, the time they spend during free fall, the time they will spend under canopy, and the distance they must travel to the target. While under this canopy, the jumpers are constantly interpreting the wind direction, the wind speed, and they're making the final steering corrections required to remain not only grouped in the air, but it also allows them to land together on the target. This wind direction and the wind speed will normally change and fluctuate at various altitudes, often 3 to 4 times during their descent. This forces the jumpers to actually pilot and maneuver their canopies like you see here today. If you look overhead, you'll see the base man, followed by the rest of the jumpers stacked at various altitudes, ready to land in the water. One thing that's interesting to note today is the fact that all the airspace required for today's event was being controlled by several Air Force Special Operations combat controllers who you can see positioned on top of the Tampa General Hospital. This team is not only responsible for controlling the layering of all of today's military aircraft, but they're also responsible for coordinating airspace with the Federal Aviation Administration, Tampa International Airport, Peter O. Knight Municipal Airport, MacDill Air Force Base, and all the other aircraft that enter into this area. The combat controllers are certified air traffic controllers, and they perform all their duties out of a small rucksack. Right here. This event brings together today U.S. and international special operations leaders from around the world to strengthen existing and build new enduring relationships among all our international SOF partners. Over 80 nations this week were with us in Tampa. They were exchanging ideas, learning from one another, and building trust. It is this trust that will provide invaluable when we all come together to achieve mutual objectives against our future adversaries. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention up the cut. Shortly you will see a returning rigid hull inflatable boat, where you'll see the hostage played by Tampa Mayor Bob Buckhorn return to the convention center grounds. Another thing that you'll see while we're waiting on the boat is it's impressive that all of this was put together, all the tactics, the techniques, the procedures. We had to merge with personnel from 17 different nations. We had to overcome language barriers and choreograph the entire demonstration in less than 4 days. What you saw today was some of the finest special operators in the world. Please give them a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes the mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, shortly you will see Mayor Bob Buckhorn getting his gun on. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2014 International Special Operations Exercise. We'd like to thank Mayor Bob Buckhorn, his staff, and the City of Tampa for hosting this event. We'd also like to give special thanks and recognition to all the Tampa Police Department personnel, all the Hillsborough County Sheriff's personnel, the first responders, as well as the Port Security and the Coast Guard, who ensured this event was safely executed. Please give them all a round of applause.
First and foremost, it's an opportunity to say thank you, not just to our Special Forces troops, but also the coalition partners, the allies from all over the globe that are here today. They've been standing shoulder to shoulder with us in the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. They've been helping us pursue international terrorism and terrorists. They've done an amazing job, and to be able to say thank you and to host them here in Tampa, to see an absolutely incredible demonstration of Special Operations Forces firepower, execution. Really, you will walk away thankful that they're on our side and eternally grateful for the job that they do for us.